Long before the savant, Will Hunting, intellectually ravaged pompous Ivy Leaguers in college barrooms, the great pugilist and last heavyweight bare-knuckle boxing champion, John L. Sullivan, was born in Boston's South End on October 15, 1858, to Irish immigrant parents. Although his parents had dreams of their son entering into the priesthood, Sullivan left Boston College after only a few months of classes to play professional baseball. From the business of baseball, Sullivan drifted into prize fighting. Known as the Boston Strong Boy, as a kid, Sullivan was arrested frequently for engaging in illegal boxing matches. To begin his journey into legitimate prize fighting, in 1883 through 1884, Sullivan was part of a coast-to-coast boxing tour of 136 cities. Along the way, he scored 11 knockouts. At this time in pugilistic history, the concept of a heavyweight boxing champion was murky. Depending on opinion and authority, Sullivan may have been designated champion at some point between 1882 and 1889. Certainly, one of his most grueling fights during that period was against Charlie Mitchell. The bout was held at a chateau in Chantilly, France, and for over 2 hours, Mitchell and Sullivan fought in the pouring rain until local police broke up the affair. By that point, both men were bloodied, battered, and bruised. The bout was labeled a draw. The preparation for this fight gives us an insight into Sullivan's training program. He would wake at 7 a.m. and go for a short walk before breakfast. Later in the morning, he would take a long walk, mixed with a short sprint burst, followed by some dumbbell training, or what he called knocking around the dumbbells. After dinner, he would repeat this work. With long walks for active recovery, short bursts of sprints, and dumbbell training, Sullivan's methods are consistent with the jailhouse strong approach to training. His diet was simple, but somewhat unorthodox. While in training, Sullivan stayed away from sweets, greasy food, and almost anything heated. His meats were cooked rare. As a man who appreciated his barley and hops, instead of tea or coffee, Sullivan was allowed a porter or an ale with every meal. Before his legendary bout with Jake Kilrain in 1889, Sullivan's training was directed by the Greco-Roman wrestling champion and physical culturist William Muldoon. In the preparation for what would be the last bare-knuckle heavyweight bout, Muldoon, known as the Solid One, would often have to use his grappling skills to wrestle Sullivan out of the bar and back to the training camp. During the bout with Kilrain, Sullivan looked defeated. He vomited after the 44th round, but he was able to get a second wind, and Kilrain's corner threw in the towel following the 75th round. Sullivan's last official bout was when Gentleman Jim Corbett defeated him in a prize fight under the Marquis of Queensberry rules in 1892. Sadly, Sullivan died from an overindulgence of food and drink, and with barely $10 in his pocket. Nonetheless, his legacy lives on with his pivotal role in the closing period of bare-knuckle prize fighting, and his significant contribution to the history of physical culture in the U.S. For more stories from the history of physical culture, click subscribe.